Hello and welcome back to Zekeism Wrestling. In this video we will be discussing the ongoing tense standoff with WWE and seemingly its fan base with regards to Night of Champions happening this week, this Saturday even. Night of Champions is due to take place in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for obvious reasons, and I don't know if anyone has not been paying attention to the news. There is a situation that's has been developing, ongoing, with Israel and Iran in that part of the world. The facts that I know, in my very limited degree, essentially Israel and Iran have now, tensions have been boiling over the last few months, and it's resulted in conflict. And America intervened, or what's the word? Attacked nuclear facilities, potentially nuclear facilities, because the threat of Iran having a nuclear bomb seemingly was the rationale why. And I'm not going into the ins and outs and the whys, but essentially that brought about a potential retaliation from Iran towards American bases in the area, one of which being based in Doha, Qatar, and a couple of in Iraq, I believe. And yet, Saudi Arabia is the country sitting in the middle, geographically, and through the magic of my screen, you will be able to see our flight radar. Which is a great little feature if you've never seen it before. All the flights you can see currently flying through Saudi Arabia, over the head of Saudi Arabia, shall we say. Now, yesterday and since Saturday, the whole area was a complete blanket. There was a no-fly zone, even over Saudi Arabia, due to the risk posed with, stray rockets or people thinking planes or attack planes or what have you. So there were no flights in or out of Saudi Arabia. Seemingly that's been lifted, because you can see flights now going over the country. But certainly last night when I checked, this was a no-fly zone still. So that's been lifted. You can see Doha, Qatar there, where Iran seemingly fired at one of the bases based near there. You see Israel over here, and you see Iran. So here in the middle, you will see Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So you can see its proximity to Iran, you can see its proximity to Israel, and seemingly WWE are going to be flying in to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia here, based in between these two warring countries, conflicting countries, and putting on a show on Saturday, allegedly. And so this has been brewing obviously since Saturday, when the US had their involvement. And again, without getting political, I know limited about politics, America's seemingly been umming and ahhing whether to interject. They are seemingly on the side pro-Israel. Again, without generalizing or opinion or pontificating or anything. And so its involvement was a game changer with regards to this conflict. And there was rumours, what would the retaliation from Iran be? We seemingly got that yesterday or last night. And then there was a ceasefire announced. So you think, oh, great. But seemingly that ceasefire has been broken in the last few hours, between both countries, seemingly. I've just seen a sort of, President Trump on the lawn, sort of, press briefing. And he didn't seem particularly happy with either of them. They seemingly have both broken the ceasefire that he announced yesterday. And here we are. We are in a massive... It's really not a low laughing matter either. I apologise for that reaction, but you don't really know where this goes, because it's obviously a very tense situation. I'm a parent. It makes me nervous, obviously, sitting here in the UK, but it's not a nice situation regardless. So the thought of WWE being entangled in this is a bit weird and surreal, but here we are. Now, with regards to WWE's involvement, it allegedly, obviously, they haven't made a decision one way or the other than to keep advertising it and to keep the show must go on. That sort of attitude. That's a classically Vince McMahon sort of attitude to it. I'm sure if Vince was still running the show, this would be his attitude. I believe the WWE stakes to lose more than that, but apparently every Saudi show that they do is worth about $50 million to them. So it's a lot of money for them not to do the show. But these are very extenuating circumstances, and if ever there was a time, if ever there was a time to not do this, here we are. They're presented with the biggest dilemma I think they faced since they took on this Saudi contract relationship, what have you. And it is still being advertised as happening on Saturday. Apparently, sources have said that they are due to fly out on Wednesday, so that's tomorrow, as in charter a flight with everyone concerned, all the performers, managers, crew. I say crew. There are crew already there now, and they are stranded, apparently still stranded, in Doha, Qatar, because they can't get a flight out from Qatar to Riyadh, because their flight was seemingly going to Qatar for some reason. I have no idea why. No direct flights, possibly. I have no idea. But there are crew apparently still stranded in Doha airport, not able to get a flight from Doha to Riyadh. And you can sort of see the flight map sort of backs that up, because there are no flights going that we can see going from Doha to Riyadh. It's sort of seemingly the highway, the airway highway, are only open to the sort of connecting flights going essentially from the west of the world over to the east. And this is one of the highways that they're using. One of the reasons being that we have another conflict in the north, which again we're not going to go into too much, but the world looks a very different place than it did 3 years ago with regards to flight plans and so forth. There we are. Yes, well, anyway, without going into the real world stuff, let's focus on the stupid stuff like wrestling. What it means for us as entertainment fans, because I honestly don't want to go into the political side. So here we are with WWE seemingly full steam ahead. Now, we haven't heard anything from any performers, and nor would we, of course. They're keeping things very, very mum, as we say in the UK. Keeping quiet. But I would imagine the expectation is that if you're booked on the show, you're coming. I don't know whether any conversations have happened. Seemingly no one does. I've been looking at all the usual sort of dirt sheet sources to say, like, have they said anything internally to each other about whether there'll be any slight put on anyone who really doesn't want to go or is uncomfortable going? There's been no reports that I've seen of anyone being made to go. I would imagine we would hear something. If they've been told by WWE, which they probably would under Vince, let's be honest, we expect you to go because we've booked you, and that's the end of it. So that tells me that it's probably been in the hands of, I'm speculating here, probably in the hands of people saying, are you comfortable going? Do you want to go? Because you are booked on the show if you still want to go. We've had one match cancelled last night, seemingly due to injury, which is a bit suspect because Dom was prattling around and doing fun stuff at the Fanatics Fest over the weekend, and he looked fine to me. But apparently Dom's injured. Now that's probably a kayfabe reason. I have no evidence to back up that one or both of them are uncomfortable going to Saudi Arabia under the current world order. But it is suspect timing, and obviously I'm not the only one speculating as to whether the two are linked. But here we are. One match has been cancelled, and I guess replaced with Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross, which I'm cool to see. I'm down for that, but at the same time, it does seem a weird circumstance to sort of hastily book a replacement one. I think, I've got mixed emotions about this. I think there shouldn't be any undue pressure on anyone to go over there. If they don't want to go and miss out on the paycheck, let's be honest, because they all get paid a bit more than they usually would for an appearance to go over there and do and do their thing. So there is a financial incentive for them to go. However, if they really don't want to go and they're uncomfortable going, no company in the world should be forcing them to do it. I don't think they're contractually obliged to agree to anything in regards to that. So I don't believe that's going on. I don't believe. I know people really like to hate on TKO, and me being one of them, but I would be surprised if a company in this day and age was forcing someone to go over there to, not a war zone as such, but it's very close to one, to a very, very real conflict and tense situation. And you can just see geographically how close it is. Now, we're talking about Saudi Arabia and the potential danger that they pose going there. Saudi Arabia is incredibly wealthy, incredibly well connected within the world stage, especially the Western world. And I have no doubts that they will be making all the assurances, extra security, extra sort of reassurances to TKO and WWE that anyone who goes into Riyadh, Saudi Arabia is going to be the safest of all time. You know, they really reassure them that they'll be absolutely fine. And that's probably true. But historically, the relationship between Iran and Saudi Arabia is not great either. You just have to do a quick Google search, which is what I did, by the way. I'm no expert. And historically, yes, they have a very tense relationship. So here we are. There's a dilemma. There's a situation, and I think WWE definitely need to make a call within the next few hours. I think their call is going to be the show goes on. You can just see the amount of flights that are going in and out now in the flight path, which tells me that there is seemingly a relative sort of, sense of safety and security. I mean, look at the amount of flights going in and out of that aerial highway. I think they're in safe ground to do so. It's just whether they're comfortable enough. So I guess my only hope, more so than the Saudi show going on under the circumstance, which, you know, you can't really deny. The Saudi Arabian population haven't done anything wrong with regards to this, so they should not be deprived of that show, I guess, is probably where my feelings lie. And therefore, if the performers are happy to go over there and do it, then great, everybody wins. But at the same time, I would be surprised and disappointed if TKO or WWE were applying any exerted pressure on the performers to do so. And if we hear about that, I think they'll really cop it for some real flack. Even more so than they've already been for various silly and sort of really nebulous reasons in the grand scheme of things compared to what this situation is presenting. But anyway, those are my pontifications. Those are my thoughts about this very unpleasant situation. Let me know what you think. What do you think? Do you agree with me? Am I really copying it and barking up the wrong tree? Let me know in the comments. I'm happy to have a discussion with anybody. It's not a problem at all. Please leave me a like and subscribe if you like my content. That's always good and helps. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye bye.